look that busy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house. And this afternoon show, if you're looking for it, it is on Zoom. And for some reason, Zoom did not let me record it. So the recording did not work. So you can check out the live on my YouTube channel for that incredible interview with Russell Little. We had some glitches. But tonight we have Jonni Jordyn in the house, and we're going to talk about her book. I'm going to pull that up as well. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. We get you over to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, all those amazing platforms. We get you to like, follow, and subscribe, and we get those tea times out, and we do make a difference with sharing all of these incredible tea times together. Because I could not do this without all of you guys. It's teamwork. It's the tea with me makes a beautiful team of tea, and that's what we serve in this house. So let's get started with disclaimer and then a beautiful intro, and we're going to get Jonni in here. We're going to spill her tea, and her tea tonight that we're serving is technologist, musician, and novelist. That's the tea we're serving in the house. So disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to share real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward for any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by the guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decisions that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel the platform is not right for you, I respect your decision and wishes and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time, where creativity is honored, reinvention is celebrated, and stories stretch across a lifeline. Today's guest is a living reminder that art has no expiration date and curiosity never retires. Joining us is Jonni Jordyn, award-winning author and lifetime creative whose journey spans music, filmmaking, acting, photographing, technology, and now bold, imaginative novels. Born in Oakland, California, Jonni began creating almost as soon as she could move, playing music at 2, performing in grade school, writing poetry in high school, and exploring film and visual arts in college. After decades as a professional musician, performing alongside legendary artists of the 60s and 70s, Jonni embraced yet another evolution later in life, turning to novel writing while traveling and rediscovering her voice on the page. Her work reflects reintervention, resilience, and the fearless act of beginning again. So grab your cup and settle in. Today we celebrate the many lives of a creator, and the courage it takes to keep answering the call of art. Let me get Joni in here. Let's spill some tea together. Welcome, Joni.
That was quite an introduction.
Well, thank you. I try to do my best to go deep. I go deep in the tea. So, Joni, welcome to Tea Time. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
So, Joni, tell me who you were as a little girl. I shared a little bit in the intro, but share a little bit of who you were as a little girl and who you are now.
Well, as a child, first of all, I am autistic, but I'm one of those high functioning, they called it for a while. It was Asperger's for a while. I have gifts, and my gifts were in the creativity realm. And now I don't remember this. My mother had to tell me when I was 2, I climbed up onto the piano and one fingered the Star Spangled Banner, and I called it a baseball song. And so I had an innate understanding of notes and how they work together. I was able to sing at a young age, and I could harmonize on the fly with my father was a singer in glee clubs, and I would join him when he was singing in the shower and things. I would just stand outside and sing along with him.
Joni, who are you today?
Today, I am on the cusp of ending my my developer career. I am trying to get my books into people's hands. So far, my the reception's been very good, just very limited. I'm also in a relationship with another woman. We're going to get married in February. That's really who I am now.
Well, congratulations, early congratulations on that. You shared that with me through email, and I'm really happy for you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And your last name will be a little easier to say.
Yes, I'm going from the Croatian name Kovacic to, well, I don't know where it's coming from, but to Stone.
A lot easier, right?
Yes. And if I ever need another pen name, it's a really good pen name.
Oh, it is. I never thought of that. Joni, let's talk about pen names, because I've had a couple of authors on Tea Time who have pen names. What does it mean to you to create a pen name?
Well, for one, it means not using my last name, but Jordyn is actually my middle name, and so I go by Jonni Jordyn, and but I have had other pen names. I tried doing, there's a theory that female authors don't get enough recognition, so I tried going by JJ, but that was a really short period. And it's something. I know that some authors will use different pen names for different genres. I'm writing in multiple genres. I'm just going ahead and using Jonni Jordyn for them all, because I'm just not big enough to be able to afford to have multiple names that I'm trying to push.
Yeah. Jonni, we had a question that just came in. Were you late diagnosed for your autistic?
I haven't been officially diagnosed. In the 60s, my teachers wanted to push me ahead a couple grades, but they said that I would not survive socially, and that's one of the autistic, drawbacks. When I was, I've been in therapy for about 6 years for just therapy, and I told my therapist once, I've been noticing a lot of these questionnaires about autism, and they're so familiar and to what I'm living. And she goes, "Oh, you are so autistic." Now, she can't diagnose me, but she can recognize all the symptoms. So yes, it would be late. I would say I was probably about 60 when we came to that conclusion.
Yeah, because a lot of adults are being diagnosed with it as a late diagnose. So that's why they were asking. I want to get into your tea, and then we're going to get into your book. I'm going to pull your book up and all that good stuff. But your tea that you gave me was technologist, musician, and novelist. Why'd you give me those three words?
Well, I am a technologist. I'm a developer. I've been working as a developer since the late 70s. And I should be retired now, but I'm still working because I promised them that I will see this machine through to its end. And the end is coming. We just can't agree on when. As a musician, I toured with some top Latin bands. I played with members of Carlos Santana's Abraxas album. I played with Carlos Santana's brother Jorge, the late Jorge Santana. So I got into a position where people could recognize me on the streets. I would go into a building and the guard would come up and say, "Hey, didn't I see you last night at," and things like that would happen. So it was kind of cool. It really was. But when I left California, I pretty much left that behind and went back to something that I loved in high school, and that was writing.
So when did you start writing books?
I think I started working on it, questioning if I could, around 2008. And I think I had my first completed book around 2010.
So it took you 2 years for the first book, right, Jonni?
No, actually, I finished the first book and I shopped it around, and they said, "This book is too big." It was 160,000 words. And they said, "This is too big for a debut novel." So I put it on the shelf, and I wrote another book that was down around 125, 130,000 words.
Well, I guess when you start writing, right, you just keep writing and writing. I was the same way when I wrote in my first anthology book. There was only allowed so many words, and I just dropped everything out. So when you're first doing your first book, you kind of just drop everything out, right, until you get it all in order and aligned to that.
Well, I have my own system that I do outline my work. So I have an idea how many chapters I'm going to have and what kind of scenes I'm going to have in those chapters. And then when I start writing the first time, there's a saying in writing is to show what's happening, don't tell. Well, my first pass, I will do a lot of tell. And it's kind of like making it a more expansive outline. And then when I do revisions afterwards, I start to fill in the colorful stuff, the flowery stuff, and I do, as I work along, I do add things that I have to go back and add a few scenes going, coming up to where I'm at. But so I do an added process. Some writers will just sit down and start writing, and they're just writing. And when they're done, they'll go through and start deleting until they have, what they want left.
Yeah. Well, Jonni, is it Jonni or Johnny?
Johnny.
Johnny, I'm going to pull up your book that I was sent by Mickey, and we're going to talk about that book. So for my audio listeners, if you could describe the cover and a little bit of description and all that good stuff.
Okay, this book it's the third book, the final book in a trilogy called The Mother of All Viruses. And in this book, the cover, and I had to go through a couple artists to get this. The two people that you see in the front, one of them is a digital being. And so this is kind of a representation of somebody who's computer-based, or at least originally computer-based. The woman on the right is representing Sophia, which is an ancient name for God. And And when he asks her, "Are you God?" she says, "Well, I've been called that, but I'm really just the caretaker of the universe." So he, as a digital being, he actually died, and she told him that he has a soul, and because he was quite advanced. So anyway, and there the pillars of creation is the hand-looking object in the back, and that was where they actually met face to face, so to say. It wasn't really face to face because they don't have faces, but yeah, face to face.
Well, I kind of thought that like they were like souls because of the transparency of the male
Yes,
and the female.
exactly.
So in back of the male and the female, what is the image?
That is the pillars of creation. It is an actual astronomical. I think it's a nebula type of a thing, but it from a certain angle, it looks like a hand, and it is a star generator that creates new stars, and I guess it probably creates other objects too.
So Johnny, what made you create this story? Like you said, this is the third of the series, right?
Yeah.
So what are the first and second book?
Well, the first book, as a matter of fact, you don't even know the first book is sci-fi until you're way into it, because there's an artifact that's been stolen. We don't know from where. It's been stolen. There are agents, NSA and FBI agents that are trying to find it. It ends up in the hands of a college professor, and he and his student assistant, find a way to get it turned on. And as the professor is starting to try to de-engineer, see what it does, something happens to him, and the computer and the student are linked to another professor who has her own project she's trying to work on. Well, in the process of working her project, this student accidentally awakens the AI that is on this artifact, and he also managed to give it a new means of power, which allowed it to grow and grow and grow. And the more it grew, the smarter it became, and it actually gained true personality. The book goes through a lot more gyrations where, Armageddon, the world's on the cusp of World War III, and he solves it. He actually solves it by covering the Earth in a dark cloud, and has prophets from all the separate regions of the Earth come down on lightning bolts from the clouds and tell the people to relax, that they don't need to be going to war over whatever was happening. So that was the first book. The second book has this digital creature traveling to his home planet, and he gets there and finds out that there are no more mortals. That the carbon-based, the living people, have been gone for centuries, and there is a political system in place of digital beings that were trying to preserve their place in the politics, and he does upset it, and it ends up with a battle between him and one other digital entity that managed to steal some of his secrets, and it became a huge battle until she ended up dying in a major explosion. And so that was his journey, and the next part of his journey is that he kept hearing a voice way out in the universe, and a lot of all three books have this digital entity questioning his own sanity. He hears voices and wonders, what does that mean? Are they real voices, or is he just hearing things? He also, in order to battle the second entity in the second book, he ingested a paranoia virus, a code that was written to create paranoia. Well, he ingested it knowing that she would try to enter his cells and steal it. And it did. And that, well, I just gave away the ending of book 2.
We can just say, whoops, what happened?
I'll be like the judge and say, please disregard everything I just
Everything that was just said, please ignore it. But you know what? You gave away the ending of book 2. That'll get people to want to buy book 3, the book that we're talking about tonight. Jonni, how did you get the title of this book?
I actually originally planned to do 5 books, and I planned to do them kind of like a hand of poker. But I began to realize as I was mapping them out that they were all kind of the same story. A new villain comes up. It's Universal Armageddon, and he saves the day. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. And then I got to thinking, let me really push the envelope here and have him meet the creator. And the creator, and my favorite phrase is, she's not who the religions are telling you she is. But he meets her, and I had to create. So I had a beginning and had an ending, and I had to create a way for him to find that. And he still had to work through fears that he was having mental breakdowns and paranoia.
So when you create your characters, Jonni, are they part of somebody you know, or somebody in your life, or part of you that you put into your characters?
Well, according to my therapist, at least 2 or 3 characters in the first book are based on me.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
So yeah, and I can't deny that. Yeah, it's I do put a lot of myself in them, but I have another book that was about a band that I did based off of some of a kind of a composite of some of the musicians I had known, during my career. But generally, no, I'm just creating a character who I can use to move my story along in the direction I want it to go. And also, and maybe this is my own mental defect, but as I'm writing it, the characters kind of help me move things along. They tell me who they are and who they should be.
I've heard that from a lot of writers, that the character kind of comes and tells how they want to be described, how they want to, like, their emotions come out, how they tell the story. Yeah, it's almost like sitting down and having a conversation with the inner self and telling you, this is what we need, this is the message we're giving you, and this is what you need to write and create.
Yeah.
Well, we had a question that just came in, and it's, how did your early start in music shape the creative voice you bring to your novels today?
Well, my music, again, it was a gift, one of my autism gifts. And I used to tell them that I didn't really memorize the songs that we were playing, and all the songs we were playing were off of our first 2 albums. I didn't really memorize them. I just knew how they went generally, and I'm figuring out the notes I'm going to play like 3 notes ahead. And I used to kind of say that offhandedly, and it was pretty true. But it was recently, as I'm getting older, and I realized it was extremely true, that I just have I have a gift to be able to play the notes. My granddaughter likes to come to me and say, here, listen to this for 30 seconds. And then she takes it away and asks me to play it. And I'll play it. And I'll even go into parts that she didn't play for me yet, because that's kind of naturally where it should go.
So Johnny, can you read notes like on music paper, or do you hear the notes? Because my son, he hears the notes and he just plays them. If you give him note paper with the music on it, the notes and all that, he can't read it.
I can read notes. I can't sight read. Some people, you can put it down, they just play it. I can't do that. I can read them and I can figure them out. I have even taken 3 or 4 different sets of horn transcriptions and put them together into a keyboard transcription.
Oh.
And so I understand the notes, but it's not something that I can just, sit down and do. And I honestly have a real hard time with reading the timing. I can read what the notes are, but I just don't feel the timing from the paper. So yeah, I'm more like you said. I hear it and I can play it.
Yeah, because my son blows me away. Like when he goes to drums or guitar, he just plays it, and I'm like, "How do you know how to play that?" And he's just like, "It's in here, Mom. I don't know how to explain it."
Yeah, exactly. And also I played guitar in a couple of my first bands. I played clarinet in high school, and that time I could read, which didn't help my piano playing because I could only read the treble clef.
So Johnny, what is your favorite instrument?
Well, my favorite instrument is probably trumpet. I can't play it. I can't play it, but I wish I could. I realized this before CDs came out, when we're still on vinyl. I realized as I went through my collection of albums that I had trumpet players, flugelhorns, more trumpet players, and I'm going, wow, that's really what I like. That's what I wish I could do. I borrowed a horn from a friend, and I couldn't get notes out of it. I can borrow a sax and get notes. I have a flute. I can get notes out of it, but the trumpet didn't like me.
So Johnny, what inspired the shift from decades of music to writing long form fiction?
Well, I moved from California to Arizona, and then from Arizona to Denver to Colorado. But when I left California, I left my bands behind, and I found myself in a position where nobody knew me. In California, musicians knew me, and they would call me and say, "Hey, our keyboard player can't make it. Can you be here on the 6th?" But I left that all behind. So I was kind of like, I had no choice. I had to find another outlet for creativity.
And can you share the moment that sparked the idea of the alpha and omega of all viruses?
I had already introduced this voice out in the universe during the second book, so I think it was already sparked back then. I had a plan of what I was going to do, and is actually there's 2 parallel stories that are going on in that book. One of them is also how the young boy who brought him to life, the college student, he goes through a journey of his own where he's learning about the dangers that women face, and why women go to the bathroom in pairs if they can, because there's men standing around, and men, you just don't know what they're going to say. So he goes through that journey of because in the beginning of the book, he and another woman, his colleague, were kidnapped by the government, and they threatened her with sexual assault. And he could have called the digital person, the digital they had a mental connection, so he could have just called him and had him come, but he didn't. He kind of wanted to wait and see where this was going. He didn't understand the level of fear that she was experiencing. But as he goes through his journey, he does learn and learns to respect it, understand it.
So, Johnny, how does being autistic influence your creativity and storytelling style?
It's the source. I got asked today because someone was talking about taking their ideas from other books or from this or that, and I said, no, I don't do that. I just come up with my own ideas, and so it's a well, I don't like to use the word blessing, but it is. I'm just lucky to have this ability that can just have these ideas, and not always when I'm having a fever pitch delirium. It just sometimes they just come to me, but I do have those too.
Well, it's your uniqueness, it's beautiful. Like you're shining through. You're not taking from other people. You're bringing in your own form of art. And that's different. And what we have to really open up doors and opportunities for is that uniqueness. You know, you do it different than others. And I'm big on getting that out there is let's keep sharing who we are. Let's be different and let's do different and let's get different results. And that's exactly what you've done with your books and your stories is you've done it your way.
I try. I kind of did the same thing when I was playing music because I didn't listen to a lot of other bands and a lot of music. I just listened to what we were doing and concentrate ours because I didn't want to start writing music based on something that Sting did or I just I wanted it to be fresh and unique and out of the box.
What art form sticks to your soul the most? Is it music? Is it writing? What sticks to you the most, Johnny?
You know, when I'm asleep, it's music. And partly because I can never shut the music off in my head. I've always got music going on. And so when I'm sleeping, I'm playing music in my sleep. Um, but when I'm awake, when I'm conscious, um, I'm really, if I'm watching a movie, I'm rewriting what they just said. I could have written that better. Um, and it's just so when I'm awake, it's all about writing, forming the words. I've done some poems here and there too. Matter of fact, I've got another poem I have to get on my vows.
Well, now that you bring up the vowels, I have a question here. What role has your fiance played in your journey of confidence and growth as a creator?
She's been incredible. Now we've been committed for 18 months now. Um, and I wouldn't be who I am without the confidence that she has brought to me. Um, I mean, I was always like, oh, I don't want to hear my voice, and I'm doing these podcasts, and can I use a engineered voice? And she helped me get through that. It's like a couple of years ago. Anything I did on TikTok, I was using filters, and it's been well over a year now since I bothered using a filter. So
Those filters are nice because I use them from time to time. And as you can see on the promos of the flyers, I use a cartoon character for me just to kind of take away from the attention. I don't like the attention on me. Are you the same way, Johnny?
well, we used to think I was shy. As a child, we thought I was shy. Um, Come to learn that maybe it wasn't so much the shyness as much as the autism, and
Oh.
and the fact that I don't have highly developed emotional structures. Um, but yeah, now, as a musician, I stood behind my keyboards, or I sat behind them sometimes. But I got on stage in front of 6,000 people, and no problem. But but if they come to me with a microphone, or when we're doing our radio spots and they're asking me questions, I'm like, what was the question? So yeah, it's a little hard being the center of the spotlight, but I'm getting more used to it.
Well, I think you're doing an incredible job.
Thank you.
You know, it's not easy being live. It's not easy being at the face of the front of the book and you know, marketing. That's one of my biggest failures is marketing my brand. Like I'll market everybody else, I'll showcase everybody else, but when it comes to me, I'm just like, well, if you want to find out more, you can go over here and check.
Yeah.
I know that we have to show up and we have to come up front, but it takes courage, right? And it takes that confidence. And especially if you've been told to stay in the background. Have you been told that as a child? Like, you know, stay in the background, be seen but not heard kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it because I was smart. And I had to like, I couldn't completely hide that I'm smart because I'm getting A's on my test. But I kind of had to, you know, downplay it in, you know, in groups and in public. A few months ago, though, I did do something that was entirely new. In fact, I took my fiance. We went to Knoxville, where my company's parent company is, and I was in a group, and we were putting together a presentation, and nobody else would get up in front of the people to do it, so I did, and that's the first time I've ever really got up in front, and I was holding the mic and pointing to the screen, and I couldn't have done that without Kathy.
And Kathy is the fiance, correct?
She is.
Well, Kathy, thank you for bringing Jonni to the table and getting her to showcase. I want to bring up something that I found when I did my homework on you, and it says blank paper and a question. Do you know what that's all about? Blank question, blank page and a question?
Well, in high school and college, I wrote lots of short stories, poems, short stories. And as a matter of fact, one of those short stories really drove me to where I am because the bell rang and I was on the last page and I closed up my book and I'm getting to leave. And they wouldn't let me stop. They said, sit down and finish. So, wow, that was like a ego boost. But when I decided, okay, let me see if I can write a book. I'm looking at the paper. I'm thinking, how, you know, I wrote short stories that were 10 or 11,000 words, but how can I write 120,000? And I didn't even have a method yet to do the writing. I just sat down and started writing. And before I knew it, I had 160,000 words.
Wow.
And it was like, how did that happen? How did I get here? And so I'm guessing that's what the question on the page, because I didn't know how to do it. I just did it.
Well, you had to ask yourself, right? You had to talk to your inner self and say, like, how the heck are we doing this? Like, you know, I got a paper, I got a pen. What do you want me to write? It's kind of like the characters telling the story, right? Where do we go from here? This is a blank piece of paper. Where are we going?
Exactly. And by the way, that was the first book, The Mother of All Viruses. That was the first book that I actually wrote. And I'm weaving multiple storylines around each other. I've got the secretary was kidnapped and somebody puts a gun to her head trying to get her to spill information that she doesn't have. And it's just the characters are telling me, yeah, I want spotlight too. You know, I want something scary. So it was fun.
Another thing I found for you, Jonni, is how many times can I edit the same book?
There's no limit. And you know, I do hear other authors saying they hate reading their own book. They hate having to go through revisions. And 3 tops. The Mother of All Viruses, I did about 3 dozen revisions on that. And my theory was, as I go through it, one, there are certain scenes that will bring tears to my eyes and make me breathe funny, and that tells me, yes, I did that right. And I kept doing revisions until finally I got to a point where I didn't have to fix anything, change anything, and when I say revisions, I'm not talking about spell checking and grammar checking. I'm talking about actual story changes, structural. You know, do I change this? You know, should I make this player this character a blonde instead of a brunette? Well, that's kind of I don't get in that silly details, but yeah. Do I make him macho and tough, or do I make him kind of a wimpy guy that has a surprising strength inside? So yeah, but three dozen is probably the most I've done. I will typically do between 6 and 12.
So, Jonni, do you have any Fonzie, laid back kind of guys in your story?
Well, I always have some kind of a love interest going on.
Oh, okay.
And my therapist, who read the first book, The Mother of All Viruses, she absolutely loved the romance between the professor, who was kind of a party girl. She was young and kind of a party girl, and another professor who was kind of a laid back, staid tweed guy, and you wouldn't picture them together. But slowly, as the book progressed, they became an item, and my therapist was all about that romance in the book.
Well, there's always a good romance story, right?
So yeah, I've got planned out after I finish what I'm on. I have another series I'm gonna finish, and that book is probably more than half written. I think I've got 9 or 10 chapters, and I just gotta finish it up. And then I'm gonna write a romantasy.
Oh, lots to look forward to, guys. You check her out. I'm telling you, she's got a lot of good stuff coming. I want to talk to you about your poetry because it was an India ink drawing.
Well, in college, I was published in a magazine. I had 2 of my India inks published and 2 of my poems. And yeah, I did. I also did. I did pencil and I did charcoal and I did photography while I was in college. I wanted to try everything and see, where my heart really was. And so I had a couple of India inks that were published, and I also I had a poem published in the school newspaper, and it was funny because it was a relatively small school, about 10,000 students, but I had people I didn't know coming up to me and clapping me on the back and reciting the last line of the poem.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
You said 10,000 in the school?
Yeah.
That's like a little small community for me.
Well, my high school was 400. And that's total student body, 400.
Yeah, I went to a public school. I think tops we had 300 students. So 10,000 is a big school for me. I'd be like, whoa, I'd be overwhelmed. How did you feel in school?
Well, and I took my SATs at Cal Berkeley, and just the room that we sat in to take the SAT scared me enough that no, I'm not going to a big college.
Well, Jonni, I want to get into your favorite color now. And when I asked you your favorite color, you said burgundy. Why burgundy?
I don't know. I have a real problem with favorites. Favorites will change from day to day, week to week. But I kept getting asked that question, and I noticed that between my clothes, my blouses, my pants, my shoes, I had a lot of burgundy.
Oh,
And so I'm just looking at my closet and go, oh, that must be my favorite color, because that's
Or you just look good in that color.
perhaps. I do know, while favorites are hard to say, I don't particularly like green,
Oh,
and not so much with yellow. Although Kathy's got me wearing yellow more often. She hasn't got me into green yet.
is there a reason why you don't like those colors?
I don't know. I yeah, it's the difference between the computing brain and the feeling portion. I can't compute it.
Does it overstimulate you, Johnny?
No, no, I just think it's icky.
It's icky. Green and yellow, you're icky.
Yeah.
Can't do you.
So I wouldn't do well in where is it? The Packers, the Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little too green for even for me. That's just too much green. And it is true. Their colors are green and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's something to do with the Packers, Johnny. I got a couple lightning bolt questions here for you.
Okay.
Burgundy or royal blue? What color feels like you today?
Well, that's funny that you picked those colors. Because Kathy prefers me in royal blue, and she's been trying to get me into more blue. Now today, I'm wearing somewhere between red and burgundy, I think. But this is just being festive.
And Johnny, what's the wildest creative pivot you've ever made?
Probably when I switched from music to writing. That's probably the wildest pivot. Although, in my professional career, writing software, I've had a couple of times, like for instance, I was asked if I could write something to help match up all these unidentified monies with all these accounts that they paid money, but it didn't have the right numbers on it. So I wrote this program that, if you understand what binary is, it took all these monies and put them in binary slots and did a sort and matched them up. And the guy that I did this for, he's looking at it, and he's like the smartest guy in the whole building. He's looking at it and goes, "What is this? How can this possibly work?" And then he runs it and tests it and goes, "But it does work." So, stuff like that. I like doing that.
And Johnny, what emotion sets your writing in motion?
I don't always write with the motion, but sometimes I get to a passage where I've got something very, very emotional happening between the characters, and I will get sucked into it, and I'll feel, especially on the revisions when I'm reading it, and I am a sap in movies, and my granddaughter likes to make fun of this. We're watching a movie, and it starts to get a little emotional, and she grabs the tissues and hands them over to me. Yeah, and so I do have some passages in my books that are pulling on those same emotions. And
So-
when I get to that point, I guess I am getting a little more emotional in what comes up.
So when you're writing, do you write in the morning, afternoon, or evening?
Primarily in the morning. I get up and I write from about 5 to 7. And then I've got meetings I have to get in at 7:15. I'm working from home, obviously, for those meetings. And but yeah, primarily 5 to 7. Every now and then, especially on weekends or days off, I might get the itch and go in the afternoon. And but I do new writing. I do about 500 words a day.
What does a liberal arts life mean to you in one sentence?
Not a job. Um,
I can work in that job. Take your job and shove it, right?
I mean, yeah, I took so many liberal arts classes, and I became a computer programmer. So
Do you do any arts classes, Johnny?
not anymore.
No. But
No,
did you used to do art classes?
I did. I did. Like I said, mentioned, I did pencil and I did um, charcoal. Um, my teacher would get on my case for putting too much detail in, and so he said, "Here, here's a brush." He gave me a brush about a quarter inch, and some ink, indie ink, and said, "Use that." And I'm still doing fine details. And he gives me a bigger brush and a bigger. Finally, he gave me like a house painting brush, and I'm still like taking the edge of it and putting in little details. But yeah, I did do art classes. Um, I also tried to play in the band in college. The problem was that the teacher, it was a jazz band, and the teacher played the piano. And so I said, okay, I'll take my guitar. And he says, he puts some sheet up and says, play these chords. I play the chords. And he goes, okay, now give me your scales. And I went, what? So I came back the next semester, played the chords, played the scales, and then he goes, okay, read this music. I said, okay, I give up.
I'm not reading. I'm not doing the job. I'm not doing it. Johnny, is there any plans for anything in the arts field or anything like that in the future for you, or are you just basically focusing on the writing?
um, Other than maybe doing some AI art to sell or to broadcast my books. No, I'm not actually doing any artistic work.
Oh, let's talk about that AI art. Say that 5 times.
I I finally broke down, and I don't like using AI. It's funny. I'm a developer. I've been a technologist for almost 50 years, and I don't like using AI. But I've been posting on TikTok for a couple of years, and I think I want to try to make some videos of the characters in my books, and so I'm trying to learn how to create them and then bring them to life.
I think that'd be cool. Do you have a vision of what they would look like without anybody else seeing them? Like, are they blonde? Are they brunette? Are they slim? What do they
Well,
look like?
I just started yesterday. I purchased the packages yesterday, and all I've done so far was I took a picture. The picture that's on the screen, that is the picture I use for my books. I took that picture, and I told it, make her smile and laugh, and it worked. I got a 4-second video, and my AI laughs better than I do, cuter than I do. So
I use AI and I put in deep descriptions, and then I also call the AI my second husband because I argue with that thing left, right, and center. I'm just like, that is not what I'm looking for. Are you like that when you work with the AI?
well, yeah, my second, third, and fourth attempts were catastrophes. I had a picture of myself at a tea party, and I told it, pick up the teacup, sip the tea, and laugh. Well, no, a teacup appeared in the middle of the screen, and it was horrible. So yeah, I wasn't too happy with it then. The only other thing I've ever done is I did get an old copy of Chat GPT, and I made it an old copy so that it wasn't learning from what I gave it.
Oh,
And I fed in one of my books called Something About Nobility. I fed in part of the first chapter of it, and I said, what author does this resemble? Give me a comp. What author, what books does this resemble? And it politely came back and said, okay, we can cut this part out. No, no, we're lying. It was Sense and Sensibility. It came back and said that was the comp. And I went, okay, that's flattering, but it's wrong. But okay. So.
But Jonni, you mentioned something about a tea party. Since you're on Teatime, tell me what you enjoyed about that tea party.
Well, Kathy and I went to this resort, and so we went to tea, and they brought out a stack of sweets, and I told them ahead of time. I said, I can't have chocolate, so and no chocolate, no mint. So give me alternatives to that, and they did. And it was pretty fabulous. And so we're doing that, and we're drinking our teas, and it was a unique and good time. We got to pretend that we're sophisticated with the little finger up.
With the little finger up.
Yeah.
Did you dress up for your tea party?
I'm sorry?
Did you dress up for the tea party?
Oh, no.
No.
Because we didn't know about it. We just went there for a weekend, figuring that we were going to, hike, see the mountains, see the goats. And then this tea party was there. I said, well, let's do it. So no, that would have been nice to dress up like for the Ascot races. And
so Jonni, since you're getting married, what kind of theme do you have for the wedding? Do you have a tea party theme or?
Well, actually, we tried to get married in Canada 2 weeks ago. And
well, you could come and get married in Cornwall, and then I could come.
Well, we were we tried to get married, and I took them all the documents that was in the website, and they went, oh, but you're from the States. You need to get a Canadian lawyer to wrap all this up and send it up here so they can, go through your documents. And that'll take 4 weeks.
Wow. So
we came back kind of disappointed. We have agreed that as far as we're concerned, we are married. And so February 2nd, everybody show up. We're just going to get a courthouse wedding. And we're calling it a help me brain.
What is it? Ball and chain, I think it's called.
No. We're just running off and getting married, and then we're going to have a reception later in the year.
So what do you call that? The Vegas wedding, right? Where you just go and get hitched.
Something like that, except without Elvis.
Well, Elvis would be nice. So, Jonni, if anybody wanted to get your books or learn more about you, where could they reach you? And if you could spell out your website for the audio listeners.
My website is www.jordyn, JORDYN, @largebooks.com. And but the easiest way to find me would be just to go into Amazon and search for Jonni with I space Jordyn with a Y. And
awesome.
That'll list up all the books and all the reviews, and they are good reviews.
Well, that is a good thing, right? When they're the good reviews, that's a good thing.
I did recently get my first 1-star review, first in my life. And the 1-star review is because I don't have the second book in the series out yet. And she was complaining that I'm invested in these characters and I don't know what happens. I said, well,
so she liked the first one. She wanted to get into the second one to see where it was going.
And I'm stuck because I need to get a new book cover designer for the second book. The book's written, it's there, it's ready to go. Just need covers.
Well, then she can give you a 5-star once the book is up, right?
Hopefully.
But you know what? Sometimes having those 1 stars opens up opportunity because it's a feedback and it gives you more opportunity to bring that book and show them, look, you gave me a 1, now you're going to give me a 5 when you read book 2.
Well, it certainly shows people that I'm not buying my reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
Well, Jonni, I want to thank you for joining me on Tea Time. I'm just going to do a wrap up of what tonight's Tea Time was, and then we'll be back on Thursday with 2 more Tea Times, and we're going to do that all over again. We have just a couple more Tea Times left for season 6, and then we'll be starting season 7 in February of next year. What a beautiful and expansive conversation. Jonni, thank you for showing us that creativity is not a chapter. It is a lifelong companion. You reminded us that reintervention is not a detour. It is a constitutional. I can't say that word. Each season of life adds a new instrument to the orchestra of who we are. Tonight, we learned that it is never too late to begin again, to explore new mediums, or to trust the pull of curiosity. Your journey affirms that artistically deepens with time, experience, and courage. To everyone watching, may you leave this tea time inspired to honor your creative spark, no matter your age or path. The story inside you still wants to be told. Until we gather again, keep creating, keep evolving, and keep listening to the art that calls you forward. And I'll see everybody same time, same place on Thursday, and we'll do it all over it again.